Hello and welcome to the Recursion Cafe, where we play games from the discard pile. Today we're covering Star Wars Unlimited, the new TCG from FFG. I'm aware that covering a new game doesn't quite fit the ethos of this channel, but I kind of see it as a spiritual successor to Destiny, much like Unmatched was to Epic Duels. So let's see how this goes. Leave your thoughts in the comments. I'm sat across from Paul, who you might recognise from Unmatched and Destiny videos. And here is me showing you what I've resourced, which is a TIE Advanced and a Reinforcement Walker. So I'm playing Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith. Once I've played a villain card on it in a phase, I can tap him and pay a resource to deal damage to a unit and a base. And I'm playing Command Center, which should be Energy Conversion Lab, but I didn't have it at the time, so we went with Command Center. Paul is playing Sabine, the most aggressive leader in the game that deploys earlier than everyone else. And of course he does have Energy Conversion Lab, so that brings his health total down, but it means he can ambush out a unit whenever he wishes. So Paul will kick things off with a Green Squadron A-Wing, which is a great start in any aggressive deck. It's statistically less likely that there will be any defense in space, and it hits very hard. So I will respond with a 1-cost TIE Fighter, which leaves my ability open. Paul will use his ability to ping us both for 1, beginning the damage chain. And I will respond using Darth Vader's ability to deal a damage to the A-Wing, bringing it to kill range for my TIE Fighter, and 1 damage to the base, putting me slightly further ahead. So I think there's nothing else to do here, so Paul will claim the initiative and we'll draw up and reset. I'm pretty glad on my side of it that I've got a space unit to at least address the A-Wing, and here's me resourcing maximum firepower, which isn't particularly useful in the early game, I suppose. But it remains to be seen how we'll deal with each other on the ground. So here is Sabine Red that comes out of the unit, solid 2-cost that can hit above her weight. I will immediately swing in with the TIE Fighter to trade with the A-Wing, just because I don't want him swinging into my base for 3. I think if Paul were being super aggressive, he probably would have done that first, but he probably has a different plan in mind. So here is a Spec Force Soldier, a lovely 1-cost, and that Sentinel destroying ability can be really clutch when you need it. So I will respond now that he's put that Spec Force Soldier out with a Cell Block Guard, which has Sentinel. So the timing didn't quite work out there, but I don't think Paul could have capitalized on it anyway. Sabine will ping us both for 1, bringing me to 2 damage and bringing Paul's base to 3. And with nothing else to do, I will claim the initiative, which is nice to have against Sabine. It means potentially I can address a unit before Paul gets to swing into my base with it. So we're up to turn 3 at 4 resources. And we'll pay 3 for General Veers, which buffs my Cell Block Guard, giving him +1 health and +1 attack, meaning that none of Paul's fighters can destroy it in one shot, at least without tricks. So Paul will deploy Sabine, giving him a 3-character lineup in the ground arena, and I will swing with Cell Block Guard to take out Sabine and take 2 damage in response. I think I went for Sabine because she hits less hard when she's not the one doing the attacking, and I had the chance to take her out, so I did. I also know that my Sentinel has to absorb all the attacks, so he may as well get a swing out of it first. Paul puts down a Wing Leader, which is a really solid card in most matchups, giving 2 experience to another friendly Rebel unit. And in all these aggressive decks with Leia and Sabine, almost every unit is Rebel, so it kind of works there. Vader will respond by pinging the base for 1 and killing that Wing Leader out of the sky. The damage is kind of done though. Sabine is now pretty hench, and it's kind of scary. Paul will decide to trade in the 1-cost Spec Force Soldier. I think I might have kept that one, and because Sabine can now take the damage and attack with Sabine instead, if I wanted to clear that, but it remains to be seen if that was the right call. So Paul tries to play Medal Ceremony. Doesn't quite work because I reminded that he hasn't attacked yet. So Paul will swing in with Sabine and deal 3 damage to my base, and then play Medal Ceremony to give her yet another experience. So she's now on base 5-8, which is pretty terrifying. I have to do something about it. But we'll move on to the next round. I have initiative, so hopefully I'll draw on something that can help me address this. And here it is. It's a Snowtrooper Lieutenant. So he'll come into play and get Veers to attack in with +2 attack. So Veers will do 5 damage to Sabine before getting taken out in retaliation. So that's something. It didn't quite take down Sabine, but it put in a lot of damage, and it means that, you know, another unit will be able to do it, and it means that she can't really clear out any other units super effectively anyway. So here's a Battlefield Marine, followed by a Cell Block Guard. So knowing that I had the Sentinel meant that swinging into Sabine was pretty relevant there, because then, unless he adds any more experience, Sabine will go down, which she does. So Paul decides to swing in and trade there. Currently my base is on 8 damage and his base is on 4, which means that it's not great on my end, but the board is pretty clear, at least reasonably so, which is good for me as the ramp/control player in this matchup. So there comes an A-Wing, which isn't great, but it looks like I have a response immediately, which is an Imperial Interceptor, which comes in and just blows it up with its on-play ability. I love that card. It's a really solid answer to most things in space. Paul plays a Fighters for Freedom here. I'm surprised he didn't swing in with the Battlefield Marine, either to take out the Snowtrooper or to swing straight at the base. But again, he might be planning around something else or wants to play more red cards in the meantime. Here comes Vader's ability to ping the base for 1 and ping the Battlefield Marine for 1, meaning that the Marine will trade with the Lieutenant instead of just killing it. But I suppose I had the option anyway, after the Interceptor was played. So not many standing resources on either side. I managed to squeak out a TIE Fighter just at the end there with that last resource. Paul still has 2, and he's wondering whether or not to claim or to play. And in the end, he will play the Alliance X-Wing, which means I get to claim. Paul does get to ping both of our bases with Sabine, but now that the leader side is done, or the deployment side is done, I'm less worried about that. And we have equal amounts of units on the field, which I think benefits me broadly. So the Interceptor will immediately trade with the X-Wing to prevent any swinging in from that. I can't really help the unit on the ground at the moment, so I just leave that to swing at the base for 3. I've seen Fighters for Freedom get a lot of long-term value if you just keep playing red cards. So hopefully, it is my hope that I will address that at some point. In the meantime, here is a cell block guard just to try and stave off any more direct attacks. We're on turn 6, so 7 resources overall, 4 left standing for me, and 6 left for Paul. It looks like he didn't resource because he's running short on cards in hand. He only has 1 left. And so Vader will ping the Fighters of Freedom, meaning that again it's within range to get taken out by that cell block guard. And I'm just looking for good trades here because I think in the late game Vader will have the advantage, especially with green in his color pie. So Paul debates here. We actually have a chat about this because I guessed the card in his hand was Guerrilla Attack Pod, and it is. And it doesn't quite get full value because it can't stand because neither of our bases are at 15 damage, but he does use ECL, Energy Conversion Lab, to pump it out with Ambush, taking out my cell block guard and taking 3 damage in return. This is kind of helpful for him because it means with Grit, that thing swings for 7. So in the meantime, I'll swing in with a TIE Fighter for 2 damage, bringing his base up to 10. I don't have to worry about ECL anymore, so that is a relief. At this point, because we're at 7 resources, Paul taps out and I will deploy Darth Vader. It is quite annoying on my end because neither of Paul's units are really worth the full Vader swing. So instead I'll swing at the base for 5 and deal 2 damage to the Freedom Fighters. Being able to deploy Vader uncontested there was definitely a swing in my favour, and now Paul's base is down to 10 health left. I'm on 14 damage though, so we're not too far apart from each other in the damage race. And here comes U-Wing Reinforcement, again a fantastic card, and just the theme and the kind of feeling you get when you play it is fantastic. So he taps all 7 resources and looks at the top 10 cards of his deck. It's basically open information. You may as well just open it up at this point, so we just kind of have a chat about it. We look through the options. I believe there's Zeb, there's Sabine, there's a Spectral Soldier, and I think an A-Wing. Yeah, and not much else, unfortunately, for him. So he ends up deploying Zeb, Benthic 2 tubes, and a Spectral Soldier, getting the full 7 value, which is nice. No one comes in with Ambush, fortunately for me. And 3 red cards get played, so Fighters for Freedom triggers 3 times, doing 3 damage to my base, which I think was the more annoying part of that. So Vader will swing in at the base again and use his ability to defeat the Fighters of Freedom, just in case anything like that happens again. The big walker will attack my base for 7, which hurts, so now I'm on 24. I needed another dice, and I don't have one, so I just used damage tokens. However, I will tap 8 and play a Reinforcement Walker from my hand. So, when it comes down and on attack, I look at the top card of my deck, and I can either draw it or discard it to heal 3, and I'll heal 3, thank you very much. That card saved me in at least 2 of my pre-release games, so I'm pretty fond of it. But here we are. I have 9 health left on my base, and Paul has 5. And here we debate about actions back and forth. He takes the Sabine action. We do rewind this in a moment because we realize as soon as I swing in that, I don't forget all of this. I would just claim and swing in with Vader. So we rewind this just to see what Paul can top deck and if he has an answer. I'm not sure another U-Wing Reinforcement would do it, but maybe he might pull out a Luke. I don't think he has a Luke, but we rewind it just to see how it goes. So Paul will claim instead, and I will swing with the TIE Fighter for 2. Things are pretty tight though, because if Paul can swing in with that Assault Walker and buff it in some sort of way, or maybe he's drawn a Rebel Assault, that would absolutely do it. It doesn't look like it happened, so Paul will swing in for 7, bringing me to 2 health left on my base, and I will play Snowtrooper Lieutenant to swing in with the Reinforcement Walker for the win, and heal 3 on the way with the 97 Legion. And that's game. So it really came down to the wire. It was 1 action's difference, and there are a few cards that we didn't see, like Overwhelming Barrage, or any of my super laser techs, or my resupplies, or any ramp. But in the end, it was a great game, and I'm not sure how different the outcome would have been if I had been running ECR, because my health count would have been way lower, but the ambush might have made a big difference. Thank you for watching. If you want to support the channel, you can check out the link in the description below. Feel free to like the video and drop a comment letting me know your thoughts. See you next time.